The Me Too hashtag aimed at drawing attention to sexual assaults and harassment. It's still going strong. Now, 2 more hashtags are turning the focus on us men, and they're responding with, I hear you. It's a call for men to break the silence and become an ally. David Bedwell tweeted, I hear you because I know Me Too isn't about attacking men. It's about highlighting a horrendous problem hidden in plain sight for too long. Charles Kennedy says, I'm ashamed of what's going on as a man, and I stand with all women who are victims of sexual harassment and abuse. Another hashtag gaining traction, himbo. It was started by journalist Liz Plank, who says sexual assault is actually a men's issue. She asked Twitter to imagine a world where the burden was on the men to share their shame rather than women. Plank says she recognizes men can be victims of assault too, but it's vastly majority cases, they're the perpetrators. I think we'd all agree with that. Going off script with us tonight, Chrissia Horansky, Mary David, 2 advocates for women and girls. We've seen you 2 before. We started this conversation. We want to continue. And Jessica Raven, Executive Director, Collective Action for Safe Spaces. Where are we now with Me Too? Let's start with you. You're the newest guest. Welcome.
Thank you. So I think that it's been really powerful to see women sharing their stories, but it's not the first time that we've done this with the social media campaign. We've used hashtags like First Harassed, You OK Sis, When Women Refuse. So women have done this before. We've shared our stories, and it's powerful every time we're able to access support from our peers and know that we're not alone. But it's also really inspiring to see that now men are waking up and seeing that we need them to be involved in the movement to end gender-based violence. We can't end it without them.
Thank you for that. Mary?
It's true. This hashtag really has sparked a lot of interest from not only women but men as well, who are not only being perpetrators of this but also who are victimized by it, and it's making it less of a gendered conversation and more about just victimization overall.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's an absolutely wonderful opportunity for us to have a teaching moment here, where you can really see women's voices coming out of the shadows saying, I don't want to be quiet and silent about this anymore, since it's something that really does exist in shame and guilt and silence.
Yeah. I suppose I like the idea, you know, that we recognize that men can be victims too, but I don't want to get away from the real issue. The vast majority of these cases have to do with women, and probably the vast majority of those cases have to do with young women just starting out, looking to advance, okay? And some guy over them has the power, the authority, and he's got a different set of rules in terms of how you advance, okay? My question is it just going to be about, you know, slogans? Is it just going to be about conversations? Is it just going to be about making people feel good? Or do we expect to see and hope to see some action here?
Yeah, so first we need men to be able to look in the mirror and change their own behaviors, recognize when they're talking over women, when they are making rape jokes, and change those behaviors and also call it out in their family, their friends, their neighbors, their colleagues. Every single day we witness and experience incidents of everyday sexism, and every day we can call it out.
Thank you.
We can also believe women. When they do bring this up, a lot of times the onus is put on them to prove whatever they're saying has happened, and it's one of the few instances when you look at crimes against women, when you talk about rape and sexual violence, sexual assault, those are the ones that typically call into question the victim's credibility that you don't see with other crimes. So it's also just putting the burden on people to really believe women when they speak out.
I can imagine some guys are sitting there, though, at home saying, some women are going to use this as a hammer now, okay? Going to come after men, maybe making things up, taking small things, making them bigger. How do you respond to that?
I don't think that's the case. I think that's a common misconception that's incredibly damaging. What we do know is that globally, violence against women and girls is a huge problem. The UN statistics are telling us that 1 in 3 women will experience violence at some point during her life. And I think what maybe has not come out yet in the media and in the conversations, which are very helpful to have, is how frequently it's an acquaintance or the partner of a woman.
Yeah, and it's all done in silence, in secret, isn't it? I mean, that's where the perpetrator wants to get the victim, by herself. right?
It is in silence, and it's also typically really targeting someone who is young and unexperienced, new, and doesn't have a sense of what norms should be and what they are in a situation. So in the workplace, they're less likely to speak up. They're less likely to even recognize that it's not their fault because someone in a position of authority who's been there much longer is propagating these standards.
Ladies, thanks a lot. You know, I have two adult daughters, and you know, I've always said to them, you know, don't be afraid to raise your voice. As men, we understand that. Doesn't mean you're angry, but it means you're serious. You know, sometimes learn to raise your voice. I'm just saying, just you know, it's dad talking here.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.